Hello everybody, this is Kyrix, and it's time for another after-game review, or in-game review rather. This time we're going to be covering the fan mod Pony Fantasy VI, which I've just completed in a Let's Play. To talk about this game, you have to talk about the game it's based on, Final Fantasy VI, which is... It jockeys from time to time which one's my favorite, but the top three of my favorite Final Fantasies are 6, 9, and 4, usually with 6 and 9 trading spots, depending on, which one I played more recently. This is probably, and I know I keep bringing this up, and I'm probably going to keep bringing it up for a long time, but this game is another one of those things that contributes heavily to why I didn't like 7. 4 being the other one, and I'll talk about that at length in that Let's Play, but you'll see that next week. But the story for this is just amazing. I mean, it starts out real simple. It's just, oh, we're the good guys. We're against this evil empire, and we're going to beat them, Standard RPG fare, You get a huge cast. I mean, later games like Suikoden, which I probably mangled that, will give you massive casts of playable characters. There are 108 in that game in all, of course. Only a fraction of those are actually playable, but still. Or rather, most of them are playable, but some of them aren't worth playing. But that's beside the point. This game gave you 14 playable characters. 16 if you count or 17 if you count one-off characters like Bannon, General Leo, and the question mark ghost. But that's quite a bit, I mean, that's a lot of characters for this era. Especially when most games wouldn't give you more than a handful at a time, and they let you customize your party in most cases. Your endgame party and someone else's might look completely different. But again, this is still source material. And like I said, I have to cover that before I can cover the changes. All of the characters are very fleshed out. For the 16-bit era, they were amazing. I mean, these guys were lots of backstory. Everybody had a side quest of some sort, except for the Moogle and the hidden characters. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty spectacular for its time. Still holds up today. Now, the big twist in this game is that halfway through the game, the bad guys win. And I don't mean, oh, we found this mystical artifact. I mean, no. We end the world as you know it. You're going to be in a coma for a year. Your friends are going to fall to despair and scatter to the winds. And when you come to, I won. That's what it is. It's not so much about saving the world as it is about saving what's left of the world while there's still something to save. Left unattended for another year, there wouldn't have been anything left. I guarantee it, because Kefka was absolutely on a roll. Now, someone took that and decided, hey, let's put ponies in it. Little cartoon ponies. Seems like a silly idea, but it worked. It worked really, really well. All of the characters, most of them fit pretty well. I mean, everyone says, oh, I would have changed this a little bit, or I would have made this person this, but they fit pretty well. But the interesting thing is they changed the absolute mechanics of this video game. For one thing, in Final Fantasy VI, anyone could learn all of the magic of the game just flat out. Just want fire spells? Sure, learn the fire spells. Want the healing spells? Go for it. This game changed that. It said, no, only unicorns and alicorns can learn it. So that took your magic users down from, 12 that could learn every spell in the game, and one more that could use every spell in the game, as long as the party could, down to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 that could learn all the spells, and one more that could use them all. That's a big drop when half your party can't use magic, and it actually made you include some members. It also unbalanced some areas of the game, like the fact that Locke used to just have steel, and his other thing would be magic. Well, everyone maintained two abilities. And because most of them lost their ability to use magic, they were given other abilities in their stead. Apple Bloom, who took Locke's place, lost her magic, but gained Edgar's tools. Celestia, who kept her magic, was Edgar, by the way, lost tools, but gained the ability to summon espers more than once, which is a brand new ability that did not exist in the original one. And some of these abilities are new, like, for example, that. And some are abilities that existed, but not quite the way you think, like the Pegasi had the ability to soar. If you gave them Dragon Boots, that would turn their attack into jump, but they just have it in this, so they get points for that. Also, the dialogue was rewritten a lot. I mean, the dialogue, they kept the general feel of it 90% of the time, but pretty much everything was rewritten, so it's not just a casual resprite. So they've changed the characters, the sprites obviously, given them new powers and new game mechanics because a lot of things changed, and they rewrote the whole game. Now there's a couple flaws in this game, of course, because there's always flaws. You show me a perfect game, and I'll show you a liar, because there's not even one of the most legendary RPGs of all, Chrono Trigger, has its problems. I can't think of them offhand, but that's just because it's been a while since I played. I'm sure when I do Chrono Trigger DS, I will have a big Endgame review, and we'll look at them there. But flaws in this game include watering down of some items. First off, they amped up a lot of the bosses to the point where boss fights that would have taken me 5 to 10 minutes before take me a half an hour. One of those is the simple removing the vanish glitch, which is if you cast vanish on someone, the next spell that hits them has 100% accuracy. Which means things like X-Zone and Doom, which are instant kills, will instantly kill bosses that would normally be completely immune to them. But that's not even what I'm talking about. Also, they pretty much doubled the cost of all the magic. Like a fire spell that would normally cost 5 MP will now cost 10, making the game harder. They've already shrunk the pool of magic users, and now they made it harder to cast spells. An item called the Economizer, in this game the Fire Ruby, which would have dropped your MP down to 1 per use, not just, oh, I have 1 MP. That has been reduced to the point where it's the same as the gold hairpin / gold main pin, which cuts your magic in half, except this one also boosts power. So, the Paladin Shield, which used to either block or absorb every element in the game, now just does half damage. It's not immune to anything, it doesn't absorb anything, it's just... Or it absorbs like 1 or 2 elements, but the rest of it's very watered down. So, it makes the game harder artificially. I mean, when Fee did her Let's Play, and I know I keep plugging her on here because she's awesome, but anyway, when she did her Let's Play this game, she went through the trouble to get the Paladin Shield and playtested a little bit, and went off on like a 5 to 10 minute rant about artificially padding the difficulty by making things weaker than they needed to be, while still actually increasing the difficulty. And it's just kind of a thing, but few changes of note. They added a new spell, which I love. They took away a spell called Regen, which I was never fond of. It just basically didn't heal you, but it made you gain the ability to gain health constantly. And they turned that into Cure 4, which was Cure 3 plus Regen. Much better spell. They also took away... Oh, what was the spell? What was the spell? They took one spell and turned it into Freeze, which is a spell you normally never got. I want to say it was Meteor they took away, because I don't remember ever using Meteor, and I'm pretty sure I showed off every spell in the game at least once. But, another thing of note, they changed the lyrics to the Opera House, which I was actually a fan of the new lyrics. I liked them. But here's the thing that really does it for me is they took Discord, who from the show was a very goofy villain. I mean, he had some menace to him, but he was very, very much a very light villain when you compare him to some other villains on other shows. And they made him Kefka, who is just this unequivocal monster. And they took those two things and they made something horrifying with them. I maintain that the Discord of Pony Fantasy VI is even more monstrous than Kefka of Final Fantasy VI. They did a really good job because Kefka was a dick who threw some jokes out, you know? Discord had a lot of humor to him as he was murdering people. And that made it just so much worse, because they took lines directly from the show that in context would be just little pranks and gave them homicidal implications. And that was... They basically turned him into something akin to the Joker with the powers of a god. And that's something no one wants to think about. And of course they had the old switcheroo of, oh, the Emperor's not really going to be your final villain. His little clown is going to be your enemy. Which is something I forgot to do from the source material. Other than that, the game is a pretty faithful rendition of the original. It's a lot of fun. Enough stuff has been changed that I can call this a separate game, a spin-off, if you will. Think of it as like DLC. Don't think of it as a resprite. This is, in a way, its own game. I mean, it's a ripoff, if you want to think of it that way. But it's a really well done one. And I'll reiterate that I really think you should try this. I mean, I have a friend who just despises the whole pony thing. Even he's intrigued by this game. So, let's get down to the ratings, shall we? We're going to start with sound. That's usually where I start. And sound on this is really good. For its era, it has the classic Final Fantasy thing. This, now that I think in hindsight, is probably right up there with Chrono Trigger as one of the games that got me to like video game music. Although Chrono Trigger still gets the nod for that, because I didn't appreciate these themes till about a decade after I started playing Chrono Trigger. But there's some classic things like the Opera House / Celis / Trixie's theme. I've always thought Gao's theme sounded kind of like our national anthem. Realm's theme is adorable. Shadow's theme's a classic, and it just goes on and on, so... I have heard better music, so I'm going to rate this high, but not ridiculous. This is going to be a 4 for music, for sound. Graphics. Now, for the 16-bit era, these graphics were just absolutely stunning. I mean, they still hold up today. This game still looks good today. And the resprites, they look like who they're supposed to look like. I mean, there's a lot of... It actually, now that I think of it, I was about to say, it gives you a lot of the same people, but that's kind of like the show. It's like, oh, look, there's Lyra there, and there, and there, and there, you know? That's exactly what the show is like. They reuse character models. So, it gives that sense of authenticity to the show when it really shouldn't.